Hello and welcome to the pilot episode of the official Stonehill Athletics podcast, Flight Crew. I'm Joe Spadorcia, and I'm joined by my co-hosts,
Lauren Moran
and Anthony Bellomo.
And today we are lucky enough to be joined by the Director of Athletics of Stonehill and Stonehill alumni, Dean O'Keefe. Dean, thanks for taking the time.
Oh, thanks for being here. As I was saying before we got on, it is a beautiful day out. It's gorgeous just before the 4th of July, and I appreciate the fact that you all are taking time to do this. Love what the Flyover does for campus, creates a lot of energy and excitement, and with this whole Division I move, obviously a lot more excitement to come, and I see the Flyover being a big part of it. So thanks for all of you that you do.
Yeah, we really do appreciate those kind words, and let's just jump right into it. You mentioned the transition to D1. So one word that just describes your feelings about Stonehill transitioning to D1 this summer.
In one word, right? I think we've seen the word bold. It is a bold move by the institution, and I think that's a lot of credit to the history of Stonehill and the students and faculty and staff that are not only here now, but that came before us to build what is here today. So I think it puts us in a great position to do some great things, not just within athletics, but just have athletics help carry the flag around the country to let more people know about what a great place Stonehill is. Everyone says Stonehill is a hidden gem, right? We've heard that a lot, and we want more people to know about it and less people to not know about it. And athletics is such a great way to do that, and Division I athletics will be part of that. So we're excited, and at the same time, we're very mindful of as much as it's something for the college, it's about our students on campus now, our student athletes, to make sure they have a really good experience and are excited by the challenge and up for the challenge of Division I, and that all of our students are caught up in the excitement and have some benefit from us. So that's really important in our focus here, kind of over the next 30 to 60 days as we get ready to start the fall season.
When we're moving to D1, there's obviously the new kind of part with the NIL deals for student athletes. How do you think it's going to change for our student athletes versus if we stayed in D2 or D1? Do you think those NIL deals are going to change, or what do you see about that?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I mean, it's an exciting time to be a student athlete right now, whether you're Division I, II, or III, because this door is open to be able to use your brand to make a few dollars if you can, and at the same time learn a lot. I think that's our first goal for our student athletes, is to make sure we do a good job educating all of our student athletes about what NIL is, what opportunities are out there, how you go about it, so you're not caught kind of not knowing the best way to approach it. And that, in working with our new conference, the NEC, they've got some outside organizations who are really good at providing education for student athletes if they are interested in dipping their toe in the NIL water, if they have thoughts and ideas about how they can use their student athlete platform to generate some revenue. So that's goal one, is just to share that information with student athletes as they get back in the fall. And then we'll see where it goes. Even talking to the NEC at their conference meetings early this month, there's a number of student athletes at those schools who have certainly relatively modest, not too many multi-million-dollar deals in the NEC, but might have in different ways, whether it's running their own camps and clinics in the summer or working with a local business, have been able to help generate some revenue for themselves to help pay for college and do all the things they want to do. So we want to support that as much as we can. And I think first step is just learning about it. And that goes for our staff too. It's new to us. It's new to everybody in the NCAA. So we as a staff and our coaches will be learning right alongside of our student athletes in this kind of world of NIL.
Specifically, what do you think athletes should know about NIL rules with transitioning to D1? Do you, like, at the top of your head, do you think there's anything that they should keep in mind when they're transitioning? Or
I mean, the NIL rules are the same regardless of Division I, II, or III. So if any student athletes at the Division II level, when we were competing last year, were looking into it, right? The general principles and the rules don't change. That just may create a little bit different opportunity as a Division I athlete and open up some new doors, but the opportunities are the same. And I think the number one information is to soak up education and to ask questions, right? If it's really going to be student athlete driven, right? If Lauren, if you feel like, hey, you know what, I've got some pretty creative skills, outside of being a student athlete, and I want to market that. Right, student athletes are going to need the one to drive it, but we're here to support that and answer questions and make sure you're doing it the right way. And That's our role, but it's going to take some self-starters to be able to do it. It will be a little bit different, I think, at small and mid-major Division I schools. It's not going to fall into your lap where someone's going to knock on your door and say, hey, would you like a check for a lot of money? It's going to take some work and really some of those business skills that many of our student athletes are learning at Stonehill to say, how do I use the things I've learned in my marketing class and accounting class to put together a little business plan for myself.
So kind of transitioning to the bigger picture of the transition for Stonehill. What do you think, what's your goal for Stonehill Athletics over the next 5 years?
Yeah, it's as much as we're making this transition, and as of what's today, the 30th. So right tomorrow, I don't think we have any balloons or flowers scheduled, but it's the official day where we become a Division I institution tomorrow. And it's a 4-year process, as we've talked about, right? It's a 4-year reclassification process, as the NCAA calls it. But we want to do as much as we can, as quickly as we can. And goal one, as I mentioned at the beginning, is focusing on our students and student athletes here and now. As much as we know 5 and 10 years from now, right? The vision, to your question, is to elevate the Stonehill brand so that when you carry your degrees around wherever you go in the world, more and more people will say, oh, I know about Stonehill, and that's a great institution. And that's part of the bigger picture to create that over the next 5 to 10 years. Real short term is making sure our student athletes and our students, starting when they return for preseason and the first day classes, that they are having good experience and are excited. If they're competing, they're having an opportunity to compete at the highest level and maybe travel to some places and test their skills against some student athletes they never thought they would do at the college level. And for all of our students to have some real excitement behind our student athletes and have that excitement of saying, I go to a Division I school and can cheer for a Division I field hockey team or football team or soccer team or basketball team. That's kind of the short-term goal. Is it's all about the students, and then over time we'll grow that marketing reach. Of course, I'm biased. I'm the athletic director, so it doesn't come without challenges. But I always look at the positives of just look at the Flyover and the group, the opportunity this will create for members of the Flyover and folks that are majoring or minoring in sport marketing and want to have internship opportunities and a chance to put on the resume. I worked in a Division I athletic department and helped do some unique things at a unique time for Stonehill. I think it's going to create some really cool things for our students as well as our faculty and staff. So we're excited, and like I said, it's not all butterflies and kittens. There's it's hard work too. It's hard work for our student athletes and our coaches, and it's a challenge. But I've been really, really appreciative of the response from the student athletes and the coaches and everyone on campus about being up for the challenge and say, yeah, it's going to be hard, but life throws hard things at you, and that's how you get better as a person and how you grow and develop. So I'm excited about it. But I don't know if that answers your question or not, but short term, it's about the 3 of you and the other 2,500 students just like you, and long term it will do, hopefully that's the plan, and I think it'll do really, really good things for Stonehill because of who we are as a school.
Yeah, and you mentioned the challenges of transitioning. Is there any challenges that you guys are trying to get ahead of? In the months behind us and in the upcoming months before leading up to preseason, are there any challenges that you guys are trying to jump ahead of and try to tackle before they even arise?
Yeah, we're trying to really look one item at a time at which are the most critical, right? This, as much as we've done a lot of research and preparation and study before we made this decision, once the decision was made, it was a pretty quick turnaround to announce in early April that we're doing this, to saying this is going to happen in the fall. So it's made us prioritize, what do we need to get ahead of. The very first one out of the gate after we made the announcement was scheduling, to make sure we had schedules for our programs that put them in a good place to have some good experiences in the conference and out of the conference. And I think as you start to see the schedules release of teams, I think both the student athletes on the teams and our community will be excited about some of the names that you start to see in our schedules. We know women's hockey, we already knew we were competing at the Division I level, but they just announced their schedule, you probably saw yesterday. And to see UConn and Dartmouth and Brown and institutions like that on their schedule, it certainly makes everyone pause in a good way and gets folks excited. So scheduling was the first one, and then it was making sure we have the staff to support our student athletes, to make sure that that we have the coaching and administrative staff to do what we need to do to make sure our student athletes can travel and compete and be, physically and mentally healthy. So, that was an important part too. Recruiting for all of our coaches is important. And now we're starting to think, August and preseason is coming up quick, making sure preseason is set, and then starting to think about what do those game day environments look like. When we play our very first home Division I field hockey game, what do we do around that, right, to make it special and exciting? Because that's only going to happen once in the history of Stonehill. So we want to try to say, what do we do? How do we get students and our faculty and staff involved? So, as we get closer, things creep up, and we're starting to think of those type of activities to kind of make it real. Because we've talked about it a lot, but before we know it, it'll be here. I want to make sure we don't just roll out the ball and say it's another game. Those first games, especially in the fall, are going to be special for the Stonehill community.
You mentioned the women's ice hockey team. They just announced their schedule, like you mentioned, and they're headed into their inaugural season. Of course, we're all headed into our inaugural D1 season, but they're first in existence at Stonehill. And obviously their head coach just earned a gold medal as the assistant coach for the U18 team up in Canada. What are your expectations for the women's ice hockey team, not only as the first women's ice hockey team at Stonehill, but, now that everybody's D1 and they were already going to be D1, what are kind of the expectations for them?
Yeah, it's, Tara Watchorn's done an amazing job of starting to build that program, with her vision. And as you mentioned, she went and won a gold medal. And I guess, I don't know, I said congratulations, even though it was Canada. I'm a US citizen, but I felt like that's okay to congratulate her. It was awesome, right? She was a big part of their success, and to win that U18 gold medal, and is a big part of their national program, which is exciting. And I know a lot of the student athletes who are enrolling at Stonehill next year to play women's ice hockey, right? Clearly they come in part because of the coaching staff, and to be able to play for an Olympian and someone with those credentials has excited a lot of student athletes. And like Division I as a whole, right? Rome isn't built in a day. That roster will be a lot of, young freshmen who have a lot of talent, but will have to grow and mature like everyone over their 4-year period. So not to keep kind of saying the same thing, but the measure of success in year one for a new program is the student athlete experience. It's sitting down with those young women after the year, and hopefully they say, hey, you delivered on what you promised as an institution in terms of our experience. And you don't stay around sports or work in sports or coach or play if you're not competitive. So of course we want to win, and it'd be nice to see some W's, both in and out of the conference, but that will come with time when you build a program and the right culture in the right way. Kind of the wins follow. So we never, kind of judge things solely on wins and losses, but it doesn't mean we're not trying to win it as hard as we can, because that's a big part of why you do what you do. For sure, it's part of the fun and excitement. I think she's done a great job of getting that program ready. A lot of talented student athletes coming from all over the world to play for Tara and Megan Myers and that team. So I'm excited to be there when the puck drops for the home opener against UConn, for sure.
Though, D1, obviously there's going to be a lot of changes, within the team, within scheduling and everything. But thinking of campus wise, what changes should we all expect to see the athletic facilities look like when we come back in August?
Well, if you close your eyes and think about what the facility looked like when you left in May, right, they'll look exactly the same when you come. So that it's a good question, though, in the big picture, Lauren, about developing the facilities. We're fortunate with a number of facilities on campus that, including the sports complex, that if you take the SPOCO, as we all know it and love it, and plunk that down in any Division I campus, right, it holds its own against those other institutions. But we also know there's a list of priorities that we have, and they've been a list even before the Division I move. We all love the Mercer gym, but right, it's certainly is a bit tired and needs to be addressed. And again, the Division I, maybe helps bring that into focus, but that we never made this move, that need doesn't go away for Mercer to be more accessible and more vibrant and have a better fan experience. And so that's certainly one that we need to address. In the Northeast, right, turf facilities are more and more common for many sports, right? That it used to be 10 years ago when you guys were just little ones running around, that baseball was always played on on grass field, and soccer was always played on a grass field. And right now turf is more and more prevalent. And, field hockey was, played on grass and now on turf. And now it's more and more prevalent that it needs to be played on that water-based AstroTurf field to have fast play. So, we understand and realize all those are important things for our student athletes. Those will be more the long-term planning to see how quickly we can move forward with some of those projects. But we know, Merkert, we know the kind of all the turf facilities, whether it's baseball, whether it's softball, whether it's field hockey, are all ones that are out there. And we talked about ice hockey, and everyone often is the first question is, when are we building an ice rink? And that's another one that, we've got a men's program, a women's program, 2 club programs, and a lot of students on campus. So I'm sure would love the opportunity to play intramural ice hockey, or play broom ball, or try curling, or some of those things that really add to the student experience on campus. So those are all right on the list. And really, once we get up and running in the fall, we'll start to develop plans for that and a timeline to say how quickly can we start to check some of those facilities off the list. But unfortunately, the short answer is, things will look not different in August, but we know as the years roll by, we'll start to tick off some of those projects that are needed. I guess I shouldn't say everything will be the same. You've been on campus. The tennis courts have completely been ripped up and pouring brand new. I'm not construction savvy enough with the technology, but it is a very high-tech tennis surface that doesn't crack and heave and all those things that often happens in New England. So I think that for our women's and men's tennis programs will be a really big upgrade, and that was overdue for repair and replacement. So we're happy to be able to provide for those 2 teams when they get back to campus as well.
So kind of transitioning away from Stonehill as a whole, kind of focusing on you as our athletic director, we're curious, what was your path to becoming an AD?
So it was a long and winding path, I would say, but a really good one. I wouldn't trade without kind of doing my life story too much. I was a Stonehill student and a Stonehill student athlete. I was an American Studies major, which, as I always describe it, for me anyway, it was the major for kids who didn't know what they wanted to do with their life. So it was a little bit of communications, a little bit of history and political science. And I thought I may want to teach or go to law school, and kind of stumbled into the athletic profession over time and worked in some fun places for the Olympics way back before any of you were born, back in the 90s when the World Cup and the Olympics were in the US. I was able to be part of that and worked outside of sports and in the entertainment world, and then got drawn back into sports. And it goes without saying, to be back at your alma mater and working and supporting our student athletes, where I was a student and my wife was a student, is pretty special. So it hasn't been something that I certainly didn't say as a college student, you know what, I want to be a college athletic director. It was kind of one step at a time, and here I am.
What does it mean to you to be the athletic director at the school that you played at? That must mean like the world, to be able to like have your mark when you were there and then now continue your legacy up to now.
Yeah, it's, I feel very fortunate, right? It's as I would say, there's jobs should certainly are work, but should be, fulfilling and enjoyable. And I'm very fortunate that I'm here to support the college that gave so much to me and helped shape who I am as a person, and helped shape my family, as my wife and I met, back in the SEM when we were both students here. So it certainly, it's special. I feel fortunate, but it also gives me a big sense of responsibility that it's not just a job that I'm working in for a paycheck, but that this place means something to me, and I want to make sure that whatever we do as an institution, my little part of that is that I'm doing everything I can to move Stonehill forward and providing our student athletes a good experience in the process.
Tell us about your time in the SEM.
SEM, it was a fun time. It was a fun time in the SEM. Ed Cooley, head coach of Providence, was a wingmate of mine at the SEM.
Oh, wow.
Right, you can tell stories. They get better by the year, as I'm sure you know, when you talk to people of my age and older. But The SEM was a special place. I lived there for 2 years. It was a freshman sophomore dorm.
Oh,
wow.
I went to the SEM kicking and screaming when I got assigned to the SEM, right? It was a place that you never want to, oh, I can't believe I'm at the SEM. O'Hara was an all male dorm at the time. That's where most of my teammates and friends were. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm way over here in the middle of nowhere. And then by the end of the year, our little group of friends said we want to stay here, and stayed, and made sure in the housing process we were able to stay for a second year. And I haven't been in there since the upgrades. I know they did some work over there, I think last year, and I need to get over there because I don't think I've stepped foot in SEM since I was a student here, despite being on campus. So,
Hey, well, that tells you everything about the SEM that you need to know then.
yeah. I do remember washing my uniform in the sink at the SEM in my room and hanging it out the window to dry. So all the student athletes today should appreciate the fact that we have laundry service. And
Yeah.
We had a lot of dirt stains in our uniforms we couldn't quite get out in the sink that we just had to play with every week.
Oh, I lived in the SEM. I loved it there. That's where I met all my best friends too. Oh,
Wow.
Good place.
The sinks in the room are classic too.
I love the sinks. I miss
Yeah.
it.
They were very handy.
You talked about, having to watch your own uniform. Let's talk a little bit about your time as a student athlete at Stonehill. You were a 4-year starter on the men's soccer program. You were part of the program's 1990 and 1991 NE10 championship teams. Those were tournament championships, right?
They
Yeah.
were.
And you earned the NE10 All Academic Team honors more than once, right?
No, I think that was later in my career. I can confess I definitely wasn't up for the academic awards my freshman year. I like many who came before me, I'm not at all shy about saying I adjusted to college life in phases, and I may have adjusted socially quicker than I adjusted academically, but eventually I got there and put it all together. So that was later on in the career, Joe.
Yeah, well said. I mean, I think we all adjust socially faster anyway. What was your favorite moment of being part of the 2 most successful teams in Stonehill men's soccer history?
The best thing, and I say it to my children who were both college student athletes and me, and the best thing to me about being a student athlete, aside from wins or losses, it's you step onto campus and you don't realize as a student, and hopefully our student athletes do, that how fortunate you are to step on a campus and you have, whether it's 20, 30, 40, maybe 100 instant friends, depending on the roster that you're on, that you have a network on campus of not just freshmen, but freshmen through seniors who are there for you and can answer questions, and you can see when you're walking across campus that is really, really special to have that as a student athlete. And I probably didn't realize how lucky I was as a freshman just to kind of feel like, oh, it was home right away. I knew 25, 30 guys and had a team and met them and practiced every day. So you had that. You hear a lot about making sure you can form those friendships and those bonds early to make that freshman experience transition, which is never easy, go smoothly. So that to me is one of the best things about it. And obviously that forms friendships for life, that it's still good to connect not just with teammates but with others who we went to school with. PJ Fernandez is a Hall of Fame football player who was my roommate, and we still have lunch what used to be Owen O'Leary's, which is now Brax. We went there for lunch the other day. So it's still great to have those connections that you make on campus. And I know that's what everyone says, but that sense of belonging that you have as a student athlete is something that, whether you're starting or whether you're coming off the bench or you're running or you're injured, it's really, really certainly made a difference for me that I still remember today.
What was it like winning the NE10 championship? What was that like? Twice. It's crazy.
Yeah, that was my freshman and sophomore year. So I didn't know any better. It was just like, I guess this is what we do. So, right, you hear about that, right? You take it for granted, and we're just like, all right, this is how we roll. And right, we realize our junior and senior year, it's not always that easy. It just doesn't happen. So sometimes you get the right breaks and you have the right chemistry and things come together, and there's always a little bit of luck involved, but it's certainly enjoyable to know we beat Bentley both times. That's probably the most important thing, Joe. I know you of all people would appreciate that, but I'm sure you all do. That rivalry is not a recent one. That dates back to the prehistoric era when I was playing, and they were our heated rival back then. And one championship was here when we were the higher seed, and then the second one was at their place where they thought they would take the crown.
Wow.
So that was enjoyable, but
Oh, definitely. I bet.
Talking about Bentley, it is, about this move. That's one of the things a lot of our current students and alumni talk about is some of the loss of those rivalries, right? To think we won't play Bentley in sports. And, that was a tough part of this decision, an important part that you do consider those bonds that we have with other institutions. But that being said, I know we'll create new rivalries in the NEC, and some of those are old foes, right? Back when I was playing, we played Sacred Heart in soccer because they're a Division II institution. We played Quinnipiac because they were in the Northeast 10, and we played the Hartford, and we played some of those schools that now we're going to be reunited with. So we might be losing a few rivalries, at least for now, but some of them will be reignited. Merrimack will be another one that I think there'll be a lot of energy around the Stonehill Merrimack games again, because it's kind of the NE10 old rivalry that's getting back together.
So when you played, did you have any superstitions or pregame routines?
So long ago, I don't feel like I had any big ones. Maybe I had like a t-shirt that I wore underneath my uniform. I'm pretty sure I did, but nothing crazy, like no specific pregame meal or tie my left shoe first or any of that stuff. Not that it's bad if you do that. I just didn't. So, or I don't remember at my age. That's equally possible. I just don't remember. When do I get to ask questions?
You want to ask one? Go ahead.
Ask your question. Go ahead.
So what's any secret, any scoop on the flyover? What big plans you have for the year or what you're thinking, or is it all top secret at this point?
Nothing's set in stone. We have a couple meetings every so often, and we talk about some stuff that we want to get done this year. I know one thing that I've been pushing a lot and talking about a lot is that we're going to try to raise a bunch of money throughout the year with a bunch of fundraisers that hopefully we can leave a class gift from the 2023 flyover class. And I'd thrown out a couple of ideas of, maybe paying homage to our time in the NE10 somehow, or, some sort of, it's obviously going to be athletics related if the flyover name is on it, but, something just kind of secure our legacy as a club. Hopefully that it lasts far longer than, just this year after, I graduate in May.
Absolutely. That's great. And you've given a gift already that the flyover has. So whether it's a physical gift or not, getting us started, that's great. And hopefully, right, that for the three of you and the rest of the flyover, that is right. When you come back to reunions in 10 or 20 years, there'll be a bunch of young kids running around running this flyover club, and you can be like, yeah, that was me. We started that. So I'm sure it will be, and certainly the athletic department is going to support that.
I do have another question to you that's kind of related to that. You met when we had met with when we did that whole D1 announcement in the Merc, and I was talking to you. I was talking to the commissioner of the NEC. You said that you might be able to send us out to an away game in a van. Is that still something that we can maybe accomplish come the fall?
Sure. Yeah, I think we'd love to get you on the road. We'll have to figure out where you want to go, right, and what games you want to cover. But I think it would be neat to hopefully get some institutions, which I'm sure they will support, with some credentials, and have a few flyover members on the sidelines, whether it's women's or men's basketball in the winter, or ice hockey, or whatever makes sense. So just let us know what you're thinking as you see the schedules come out. We'll see if we can make that happen. But I think that would be fun to have some presence at away games, and for all of you to do some of your creative magic at away games. And hopefully we'll have some good, away crowd support from some of our alumni. If we play, like we talked about, women's ice hockey at UConn, we'll get some Connecticut alums, and maybe we'll have a little event pregame, and Lauren can ask some tough trivia questions, or Chris can do his tailgate thing, or something that doesn't have to just be on campus. We can do that other places.
Oh, I'd love to ask people questions. I wanna bring my microphone on the go.
Oh, absolutely. Think about the Flyover, and then we'll give you that trivia question. So at the end of this past academic year, we were awarded the SGA Academic Club of the Year.
Congratulations.
Which was a huge honor. I was really not expecting it when we got invited. I thought maybe like breakout club of the year, something new. I don't know. Club of the year it was a huge honor, and we really appreciate that. But is there one thing that you think we're doing well that you want to see more of? And then the opposite of that, is there something you don't think we're doing well enough, or something that you don't think we're touching enough on that you would like to see us do this upcoming year?
No, I think the most important thing you did was you all put your energy to say, let's make this happen, right? A lot of people can talk about ideas and wouldn't this be fun? And then, right, you get up and you go to class the next day and practice or whatever, and you forget about it. So the fact that you said, let's do it, and you actually did it, right, that is no small feat. And right, it's been fun to watch, right? And I'm probably not your target audience, but I'm watching anyway. And it's fun to see all the content you're creating, and that, right, more students are getting involved, and just me looking from the outside, but it seems like a lot of students are involved in different ways, right? It's not just a podcast, it's not just social media, it's not just photography, it's not just video, it's kind of whatever talents students have that they want to bring to the table, you're letting them run with it and create some content. And for us, selfishly, it's creating excitement about Stonehill and about Stonehill Athletics and our student athletes. So it's awesome, right? And you're letting it kind of take the form that it takes, as opposed to having a set plan to say we have to do this, which I think is kind of organically just growing. And that will serve you well, I think, this year too, to just run with it. And every once in a while, you'll find something that's really, right, powerful or exciting to students, and we're like, all right, we should focus on this more. Keep doing what you're doing, and let us know what you need for help. And hopefully, between Division I and some of the great stories we have from our student athletes and alumni and families that are at games, will create some really cool content for everybody to see.
All right, we got about 3 minutes left here. Anthony, you want to give him the trivia question? Let's see if he knows this.
All
Oh
right.
my God, can I just say I'm fairly nervous about this. I've seen some of these before, and I feel like there's a lot of pressure that I should know all these answers. So yeah,
I feel like this one's fairly difficult in comparison to the rest of the trivia that we do.
okay. I'm glad you said that, because if you said,
no.
This is not a softball.
Easy.
No.
This is not a softball.
Do you know this? I'm kudos.
Yeah, I would be very impressed.
Yeah.
All right, I'm ready, Anthony.
All right. So, question of the week: how many wins did your former coach Ernie Bronco have in his 15 years of coaching the Stonehill men's soccer team?
If you can get within like 25, then we'll give you credit for correctness.
Take a guess, or if you know it.
I definitely don't know it to the number. I definitely don't remember the number. 15 years, I would have guessed. You said how many years. So I'm going to say, I forget how many games were played a year in the early. I'm going to go with 160.
We'll count it.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Wow.
151 was the answer.
Okay.
That's good.
That was great.
Nice.
Congratulations on that.
Within 10, I'll take that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule, especially in this time of year of this transition, this unique time for you and for the rest of us at Stonehill. But thanks so much for coming out and being the first guest on the pilot episode.
Yeah, no, happy to be. And again, thanks for all you're doing. Enjoy the holiday weekends. Happy 4th and happy Canada Day tomorrow, and happy first day of Division I. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
We'll see you all soon back on campus.